Hello, fellow Planeswalkers, it's Scott, and we've got day 9 of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season. We didn't get very many cards today. We've got some important dinosaurs to talk about, and some lower rarity things that have some standard playability. But before we get started, thanks to Caffeinated Gamers for sponsoring the video, and also remember to like and subscribe to get further content like this throughout the rest of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season, and we'll be doing some top 10 lists later on the week, so stay tuned for those. Alright, our first card of the day is Humongous Raptor for 2 and 2 green mana. You get a dinosaur. That's a 5/3 with Ward 2, and at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, add 2 mana. So this is a mana generating 5/3 dinosaur. What could be better than that? So this is definitely going to be in the 4-drop spot in the dinosaur deck. It's definitely going to be a 4 of, and it's going to allow you to ramp into your larger dinosaurs like Gishath, like itth, possibly even Galta, because there's going to be so much mana potentially available to you because of the ramp that's going to be in the deck. Next, we've got itth, firstborn of Gishath. For a red and a green mana, you get a legendary creature. That's a dinosaur. It's a 2/3 and has haste. And when itth, firstborn of Gishath, enters the battlefield, you may pay 2. When you do, target dinosaur you control deals damage to another target creature equal to its power. So one of the things that the dinosaur deck was missing was a second 2-drop to put in the deck. This is that 2-drop. So now we've got our 1-drop, we've got a couple 2-drops, and we already had a good number of 3-drops. We just showed you the next 4-drop for the set, for the deck. And then from there, it's going to be figuring out which are going to be the best cards to play from there. But this is going to work really well when you cast it early in the game. It's a 2/3 hasty creature that's going to attack for some damage early. And then late in the game, it's going to come down, you pay that extra 2 mana, and your biggest dinosaur kills their best creature. And because of that, this I think is not what I would normally say is a 3 of a legendary creature in a deck, but I think this is probably a 4 of because of the potential late game power of it. Next, we've got our lower rarity cards of the day, and the first is Waterlog Hulk. For a blue mana, you get an artifact, and you can tap it to mill a card. And it can be crafted with island and 4 mana, and exile this artifact, exile an island you control or an island card from your graveyard. Return this card transformed under its owner's control, craft only as a sorcery. And when you do craft it, you get Watertight Gondola. It's in 4/4. It's a artifact that's a vehicle, and it has vigilance. So you'll be able to not only attack with this, but also block with it. And its crew is only 1, so pretty much any small creature you have on the battlefield on your side is going to be able to meet the requirement for Watertight Gondola. It also has Descend 8. Watertight Gondola can't be blocked as long as there are 8 or more permanent cards in your graveyard. And to me, that's a pretty solid ability on a relatively low-cost artifact. And I know based on the craft abilities that we've seen so far, there's definitely a desire to have artifacts that you can sacrifice to craft things, or other things that you might want to sacrifice artifacts to get a benefit from. So I think this fits in as a couple copies of in the right deck in Standard. Next, we've got our Fungus of the day. We've got Synapse Necromage for 2 and a black mana. You get a Fungus Wizard. That's a 3/1. And when Synapse Necromage dies, create 2 1/1 black fungus creature tokens with this creature can't block. So it has a nice little death trigger to it, creating those 2. So you're getting 3 bodies for that 3 mana. But simply put, there's better things to do in 3 mana in Standard in black. Our next card is Tendril of the Micro Tyrant. For 1 and a green mana, you get a Fungus Wizard. That's a 2/2. And you can pay 7 mana and put 7 +1/+1 counters on target non-creature land you control. It becomes a fungus. That's a 0/0. Creature with haste, it's still a land. So I think this card is going to be a really good card in limited, but outside of a dedicated fungus deck, I don't think either of them sees actual standard play. But in limited, I think Tendril of the Micro Tyrant, because of that ability in the late game to turn a land into a creature, I think it's a nice limited card in green. All right. Our last two cards of the day are a Braid. You pay 2 mana in red, and a Braid will deal 3 damage to target creature, or you get to destroy target artifact. So it's good to have a Braid back, given how many artifacts are in this set. A Braid has been is a classic artifact removal card, and I think it's just going to see more and more play in standard in any deck that is red, either maybe a couple copies in the main deck, certainly some copies in the sideboard because of its ability not only to kill a creature, but also then to destroy any artifact that's problematic on the battlefield. And our last card of the day is Dreadmaw's Ire. For a red mana, you get an instant, and until end of turn, target attacking creature gets +2/+2 and gains trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, destroy target artifact that player controls. So the fact that you can destroy a artifact that your opponent controls gives this, in essence, it's a 1-cost Braid in some ways. So I like this as potentially a main deckable card in a Spellslinger type deck. Even mono red might want it, because giving a creature trample into +2/+2 is probably good enough in standard to maybe knock in that little bit of damage you need, and maybe in the right situation you've got some artifacts that you need to kill, and this is a way to do that. So I like the card, and I think it has some standard playability. Again, it has to be in the right build though. Alright, and that's our cards for the day. Not much, but I think the Dinosaurs are something to be very excited about. They're definitely going to see play in the Dinosaur deck, and humongous Raptor, I think, may see play outside of that as well, because that ability to give 2 extra mana every single turn, that's huge in standard, because under those circumstances you could play that on turn 4 and you have 2 extra mana. On turn 5 you play a land, you play an Atali, you play an Atraxa. You have lots of things that you can do with that mana in standard. So that card, I think, may be one of the best cards, if not potentially the best card we've seen so far from the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. Thanks for staying to the end of the video. Please leave a like, make a comment. I'd appreciate that. It'll help get our content out to more viewers. And I will see you tomorrow for the last full day of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan spoiler season. Thanks. I'll see you then.